Thank you all for coming. This has definitely been a collaborative effort. We'll have more introductions, but without further ado, we have a gracious host, Doreen Tracy, the director here at Dotwell, that would like to be able to welcome us. Thank you.
Welcome. On behalf of Dotwell and the Dorchester House Multi-Service Center, I'd like to welcome all of you, Treasurer Grossman and the FDIC, the financial institutions and all of the volunteers and professionals here, but of course, most importantly, all of you, the high school students here today. Yeah, welcome to the Dorchester House. So you may not guess this because you're sitting in our gym, but we are a community health center. And we are thrilled to host the first annual, organizers, are you going to kill me for saying the first annual? The first annual Boston Credit for Life Fair. Because we as community health centers understand the importance of building a strong economic foundation now, because it impacts your future financial health and your physical health. And we know that because the two are statistically correlated. So we are building good health for you here this morning, even as you're building your financial skills. I do want to recognize some individuals and organizations who made this Credit for Life Fair possible. I want to give a shout out to Vernette Allen of ABCD, who has been on this organizing committee making this happen. Paul Horwitz and Kip Child, who's not here today, of the FDIC, to Leanne Martin from Treasurer Grossman's office, who is always doing this kind of thing all the time, 24/7, all around the state. To the ever so humble Matt Paradise from American Consumer Credit Counseling, who said, oh, you don't have to add me on that list. We're like, Matt, you're only like the driving force behind this. So despite his protests, we're going to shout him out. And you can see behind me the Boston Alliance for Economic Inclusion, which includes a driving force behind that is our colleague, Ida Franquez from Boston Private Bank and Trust. I've seen Ida around. There she is. And Ida has been a real driving force behind this as well. And just so you all know, all the high school students here, it's not just a bunch of talking head adults that put this event on. We have a financial ambassador here at Dotwell who is herself a high school student, and she has been instrumental in helping to put this on. Jamia Jones. Jamia, give a shout out. And finally, and I have to say this, you all know when you run an event in your home, what it involves. When it's on your home turf, it's really hard. And Cheryl Brickey, Cheryl, you got to stand up. Cheryl Brickey from Dotwell, where is she? She jumped on a moving train that was going 100 miles an hour when our other colleague who started with this work had to leave us suddenly. And Cheryl just jumped on the train and started running with it. And really, it's because of her that all the details for this space were really worked out. So thank you so much.
Dotwell is holding this event because we feel it's really important to make sure the youth are educated on financial health. We're educating them by providing them with various opportunities to see what real life is about, having them go to different booths and learn about the things that they will need when they get older and they get out on their own.
And I would love to hand it over to my colleague, Leanne Martin.
Thanks, Doreen. It's a pleasure to be here. My name's Leanne Martin Fay, and the treasurer is my boss. I'm the director of financial education for the state treasury, which means I get to do really amazing events like this all the time. And one thing I have to say about this event is that I only wish I had had it when I was in high school. We all learn the hard way. Sometimes somebody gives us a tip along the road, but this is one thing that I think is probably one of my most favorite projects that I've worked on while working at the Treasury. It's my honor today to actually introduce my boss, our state treasurer, who is committed to using the full potential of the state treasurer's office to protect the public's money, which is really what the state treasurer does if you weren't sure what that job entailed. He boosts small businesses and brings new standards of transparency and disclosure to state government. Throughout his career, he's had an unshakable commitment to recruiting, hiring, and retaining most qualified people. He was elected treasurer in 2010, and his passion is financial education, one of many passions. And he's here today to share with you his feelings and thoughts about why this event and many other financial education activities are important to him. Treasurer Grossman.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm going to be brief because today is supposed to be fun, and it's supposed to be interactive, and it's about savings, and it's about all the things that we can do and learn by doing things in a way that give you, the students, the tools. You're the reason we're here. We've got great organizers. You've heard the names of a couple of them. I won't repeat them. All of the organizers and those organizations that were helpful are all up on the banner, the big thank you banner there. But again, we're here because of you, students from these 3 high schools. I want to thank the principals of the 3 high schools who made it possible for their students to be here, who thought that this pioneering event today was really an important thing to do. Only one of them is here, and I'm thrilled that she's here, Principal Melissa Malone Sanjay from University High. Thank you so much for being here and for your team, your students, your instructors, your faculty, and most of all for the involvement of your students, because that's what this is all about. I also want to thank, even though he couldn't be here, but there are students here and other members of the faculty from Ostagai High School, Principal Roger Oser, and I also want to express my appreciation and ours to Principal Tanya Freeman Wisdom from Cash, who couldn't be here, but we've got plenty of enthusiasm from Cash. Let's hear some Cash enthusiasm. I like to say that, CASH, because CASH is not only the acronym for the high school, but this is all about cash, how to use our cash wisely. The cash that you're going to have when you become a member of the workforce, when you go from high school into community college, when you go from high school to a 4-year school, when you go on to graduate school, when you go on into the workplace, when you become an entrepreneur, when you start your own business. There should be no limits here. Most important message I have, I spent 36 years of my life running a 4th-generation family business. My grandfather came here 111 years ago. He was the 2nd youngest of 13 kids. He left school after the 6th grade, shined shoes on the ferry boat that used to take people from East Boston to the mainland. There was no tunnel then. He sold papers, never went back to school. But he had a dream for his life, and his dream was to have his own business. He said, Steve, I wanted to have a family. I wanted to educate my kids. I wanted to own my own business and give something back to the community. Every one of you should walk out of here saying, no limits, none, zero. If you take math and science, whether it's computer science or any kind of science, and history and English and art and all the things that you're learning in your respective high schools, if you take those and fashion them into your own set of unique attributes, because every one of you is unique and of value, and you can take that passion for your own life to realizing your own full potential, there are no limits. And financial literacy and financial education is critical to all that. There are so many people in the last few years who got themselves in trouble. We all know them. Some of you may have had this experience yourself, painfully, of having a foreclosure take place in your own family. How did it happen? Well, one of the reasons it happened is because people didn't know the questions to ask. When some predatory bad lender came along and wanted to loan money and make some money on it and told you that everything was going to be great, and somebody said, gee, okay, it sounds terrific, and they put their name on a piece of paper, and later on they wound up being foreclosed, out of their house, out of their neighborhood. We want to make sure that every one of you as a student has the tools by the time you get into the workplace, so that when somebody comes along and offers you a bill of goods that you know isn't right, you can say, wait a second, I learned about that. I learned about credit scores. I learned about compound interest. I learned about savings. I learned about mortgages, and that's not right, and I don't accept that, and I'm not going to listen to you any longer. Get out of my house. So honestly, this is about the tools. But since you're in high school now and have not yet been out into the workplace, We're going to try to sort of imagine the future. That's the toughest thing to do. One of my friends who was a student of leadership once said that leadership is about imagining the future and acting on it. So we want you today to sort of step out of your own place that you currently have and imagine that you're in the mid-20s and you're out there working and you have an income, and now you have to decide what to do about getting a car or renting an apartment or owning a home or deciding whether to buy a television or putting a household budget together. And we're doing a lot of work on that at Treasury. Leanne Martin Fay, she just got married. Today is her 3rd day back after her honeymoon. Give a shout out to Leanne for just getting married. So she's Leanne Martin Fay, and she spends every day at Treasury partnering. We don't do it all at Treasury. It's not about us. It's not about me. The most important word in the English language is what? We. We are all in this together. Every one of the partners, every one of the credit unions, every one of the businesses, every one of the banks, every one of the not-for-profits, every one of the government agencies, every teacher here, every instructor here, every principal here, we are all in this together to give you an experience today that you can go away with and say, wow, we had fun. I learned how to save, to budget, or at least a little bit of what it means to do all that. And because of that, I'll have some tools to go on with my life and begin to study that a little bit more. And it's not just about students, because we think about single moms. And there are so many single moms who have never been taught how to put a household budget together. When they go into the supermarket, which pieces of the chicken to buy so that they can save money and allow that money that they have, that limited amount of money, to go a little bit further. Simple things that really matter. And it's about veterans. There are a lot of veterans who came back from Afghanistan and Iraq, and they get a welcome home bonus, but they want to get into the workforce, they want a job, they want to start a business, they don't know how to do it. We've got an obligation to help them. And it's about people just starting out in life, married or otherwise, who need financial education and literacy. And let's not forget about seniors. Let's not forget about our grandparents and our great-grandparents who are living on a limited income, and they don't know how to make ends meet because the interest rates are so low and their income has dropped. And how do you afford your food, your rent, and your meds? And do we ever want any grandparent of yours or mine to ever have to choose between food, meds, and rent? Of course we don't. So it's all about choices. You chose to be here today. We're thrilled that you're here today. I'm thrilled that you're here today. And I'm thrilled that so many people came, and I hope you'll come back again and again. I also want to recognize Jared Weiss, who's sitting right over here. Jared, raise your hand. He's a student. He's a student at Boston University. And he decided he wanted an internship over the summer. So he could have had a lot of choices. He decided he wanted an internship at Treasury. And he worked in partnership with Leanne. And we thought so highly of Jared that he's now working for us and getting compensated for it a few hours a week, and he's helping out and doing a lot. So you never know what part of your life may introduce you to somebody who says, I like you, I respect you, you're cool, and I want you to be part of my team. So think about internships and what you're doing and how you can use all that.
It's about the fact that when you're a kid, you have your parents or someone is helping you manage your finances in your life. When you get out there and you're making money and you're working hard on your own, you don't have the time to be able to sit down and just take care of everything easily. You need to be able to adapt to when something happens to you. And this fair is for the kids to learn about what's going to happen to you, how you adapt to those situations, and how you make the best of what you're doing with your life. So there's some really good things that can happen to you, some really bad things that can happen to you in life. And the whole point is that kids come here and they learn about what can happen that can go wrong or what can happen that can go right that drastically affects your financial standing in your life.
Today is about you, it's about empowerment, and it's about moving on with the program. So as Treasurer of the Commonwealth, I speak for an awful lot of people who believe in each one of you. We believe in each one of you. You are the future of our society. You are the workforce, you're the entrepreneurs, you're the doctors, you're the accountants, you're the lawyers, you're the physicists. You're the people who are going to make it happen. But if you have the tools, the financial literacy, the financial education, the financial empowerment in your life to be able to make the right decisions, then you will have that same life that my grandfather Max Grossman talked about. You'll have a family, you'll educate your kids, you'll do whatever you want with your lives with no limits, and you'll be able to do it in a way that hopefully you'll go back and say, I remember that day back at Dotwell when I learned a little bit, I had some fun, and it was an opportunity for me to go to the next level with my life. I appreciate your listening. I hope I'll be invited back in the future. Thanks for making this a pioneering day. First time this has ever happened in the city of Boston. Been going on for 12 years all over the Commonwealth. We want to make this a regular occurrence, and I hope you'll share with friends all over the city how important this was so that every high school student in Boston potentially can have this opportunity at some point in the near future. Thanks so much for listening.
Come on, let's give it up. Make some noise for the treasurer. Thank you. I think as Treasurer Grossman said, there is not an I in we. We really are here together to be able to learn, to be able to help each other. And it came together as really a heartfelt commitment of many. Some were already named and thanked. I want to make a special thank you as well for the City of Boston Credit Union. Dan Trombley, their CEO, is in attendance here, so please make sure that you thank the volunteers as you go along throughout the day. John Thomas, also the CEO at Mass Bay Credit Union. Both of them actually do double duty and are board of directors at the Massachusetts Credit Union League there as well. So we want to give them a warm round of applause. Without them, this wouldn't be possible. I have a few statistics here as we go through and think about some of the instructions for the day. Some financial literacy statistics. Would anybody like to hear them? Yes. One or two at least. They're specifically about young adults. It says that young Americans, 18 to 34 specifically, nationally, were more likely to be less financially capable than older Americans. You guys agree? Disagree? What do you think? Can you be smarter than some of the other adults around us? With some more confidence. Yes. Ultimately, we can, right? And it is we coming together. It says 68% don't have enough money set aside to cover expenses for 3 months or a rainy day fund. 34% engage in non-bank borrowing that is much more expensive, and some of the boosts will help educate you. 2.6% out of 5 questions were answered correctly. So just about half when it comes to concepts on economics and finances expressed in everyday life. Today's about reality. It's about life that we all have to deal with. And you know what I say to some of these statistics? Forget it. It doesn't have to apply to us. We don't have to be limited because someone else may not be educated. We have the opportunity to learn for ourselves the skills necessary to be successful in life. And together, we will make it happen. Some important instructions for the day. Can everybody, all the students, please take a look at your profile page. So on your profile page, you have an occupation.